Disclaimer! I'm about to say I either like or dislike the new Arctic Monkeys album. Either opinion appears to equally offend people these days. So proceed with caution because this video may cause saltiness. You have been warned. So, let's get on with it. So the new Arctic Monkeys album is finally out. And I think it's safe to say that the lead up to The Car has probably been one of the most turbulent build-ups in any of Arctic Monkeys' previous releases. Both Mirrorball and Body Paint appear to have divided both fans, critics, and music listeners. It's broken up families, it's broken up friendships, it's challenged kingdoms, it's challenged alliances and the brotherhood of man. We look and we scream into the abyss, questioning, are the new songs absolute trash? Or are the new songs absolute genius? So basically lots of people liked the new songs, lots of people hated the new songs, and there wasn't much in between. And to be honest, I think the album's going to do the exact same. It's going to divide people. So let's take a look at the track list. To kick off the album, we have the sentimental and seemingly controversial first single released from the album, There'd Better Be a Mirrorball. It's an easy listening slow track, smoothed out to decipher the concept of a complex heartbreak, and creates a feeling of nostalgia for a time that you've never truly experienced. Now, the follow-up track, I Ain't Been Quite Where I Think I've Been, but I Am Going to Go Where I Think I Quite Haven't Been, I Ain't Quite Where I Think I Am, is a really, really great track, and I think it's slowly becoming one of my favourite Arctic Monkeys tracks. It gives me a similar vibe to One Point Perspective or Bat Phone from the previous album. It somehow captures the classic Arctic Monkeys spirit and lyricism, but then it's also pumped up by funky 70s wah pedals that Alex Turner and Jamie Cook must have found whilst raiding the dusty old attic of the band Wild Cherry. To me, this track really incorporates what I feel is the new era of Arctic Monkeys. If people miss the old songs about banging nights out in Sheffield when they were only 18, they should definitely give this track some attention. It feels like a more mature, grown-up evening out, when you're a bit past your formative years. And whilst you're all catching up and sinking a few pints, some absolute nutter comes in with a tray of Jaeger bombs. The night takes a turn for the worse, or better depending on your opinion. And trust me, there's been plenty of nights out where I wake up the morning after, and I ain't quite where I think I am. Sculptures of Anything That Goes has a great backing track that really creates this ominous sense of dread. I was really blown away by it when it first came on. Alex's vocals sound great on the track as well, but for me the lyrics are kinda, for lack of a better word, a bit goofy. And for me, it took away from the initial feeling that the introduction instrumental built up. Many Arctic Monkeys songs have bizarre lyrics to them with serious instrumentals, but this one felt borderline satire at times. But overall, I think it did actually save itself, and it is a contender for one of my favourites from the album. Jet Skis on the Moat, I really loved the funk, soul aspect style of this song. I mean, it reminded me of more of the indie-styled funk songs that Thundercat would release, but with that extra Arctic Monkeys slant on the lyrics. It was interesting hearing Body Paint in a set list because, to be honest, it fit far better in as a song when listening through the album, and it made more sense as a song. And I think that's probably what it lacked being released as a single. The Car is a great track for me. It had instant Pink Floyd vibes. I mean, it felt like a constant pushing track that comes in further with more Pink Floyd style guitars. Overall, it was a nice tune for the trial tack of the album, and it felt really reminiscent of Hey You, Pink Floyd song obviously. Big Ideas had a nice mellow piano met by more strings, although for me it kind of suffered a bit what Sculptures of Anything Goes did again. You can't write a song saying you had big ideas, that the band was so excited, but you can't remember how it goes, and then get angry if anyone says that this sounds like satire. I mean, that is the baseline idea to Tribute by Tenacious D as a song. You can't deny it's not the same premise, and maybe it shows that the band is lacking a bit of self-awareness at times throughout the album. For me, it's an easy listening album that is kind of meant to be taken serious, but then you've got these lyrics that are so blatantly satire in other bands' albums. But I still liked the song in a weird way. Hello You, the next track, it was a great tune and it sounded like it could have been straight from Tranquility Base. It was nice to hear a continuation from the previous project. Mr. Schwartz, or Mr. Schwartz, or however you want to say it. It was back at it again with a Pink Floyd sounding guitar. It sounds like the exact end of Is There Anybody Out There? And to be honest, I love this song. For me, it was a much needed relief on the album, as everything had worked on this song for me. The guitar, the vocals, the actual lyrics, the gentle strings and the soft percussion, they all worked together and they pressed against one another. And this is definitely going up there as one of my favourite Arctic Monkeys tunes straight off from hearing it. Perfect Sense, straight from the bat, sounded like Never Tear Us Apart from INXS. And then as soon as the lyrics started on this one, I thought, oh my god, here we go again with the rambling, the mumbling. But to be honest, it actually mellowed out and it's a great end to the album. It really really pulled itself back. I think my overall feeling towards the album is good and quite positive. I think at times it suffers where the lyrics are a bit too rambly and they're at borderline risk of becoming Tenacious D. Not that becoming Tenacious D is a bad thing. I love Tenacious D, but if you're Arctic Monkeys releasing serious work, you don't want to be perceived like that. I mean, it's probably interesting to take a look at why there is such a specific style to the lyrics on this album that at times, like I said, lost me a little. This article on Radio X said how Alex mentioned that he started with Mirrorball as the focus of the album and then developed it from there, and that all the other songs kind of had to fit around that specific sound. And to me, that seems pretty obvious on the album as a stylistic choice, and it might be to a fault at times. I mean, the conversational tone of lyrics for Arctic Monkeys songs has been standard throughout all their previous work. However, on this one, I feel it might be kind of overdone. It's so conversational and so sort of rambling, it loses you a little in some of the songs. And something that Arctic Monkeys, I feel, haven't suffered from in the past is that their songs all sound the exact same. They just haven't. Whereas this is kind of the first album where I'm kind of getting that feeling that a lot of the songs sound like one another. And to be honest, that's not a criticism I like to make of any band's work, except for Catfish and the Bottlemen. But that's not to say that I don't enjoy the songs on the album. I do like this album, but I think it's a fair enough criticism to point out. I think then looking at this interview with Zane Lowe is a real great help, and I would really suggest listening to this interview. They really highlight the idea that the tempo is sort of fighting to get out of some of the tracks, but the actual tracks are buckling down on it. It's a real great insight into how Alex and the rest of the band were perceiving what they were doing on the album, and then also someone such as Zane Lowe's take on it. I think it's probably important to note that this album is going to take a bit of getting used to, but that's absolutely fine. Take Tranquility Base, for example. On my initial listen to it, I didn't actually like it. I thought it was a complete David Bowie rip-off album. The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust is my favourite album of all time, and to me, it sounded like it was just kind of trying to copy it. But after a few more listens to Tranquility Base, my opinion kind of changed. I realised it wasn't a copy, it was just heavily inspired. And looking at it from that point of view made me really enjoy the album, and now a few of my favourite Arctic Monkeys tracks are from that album. So I'm not too hasty to say that this album is just going to be a flat 7 out of 10. I understand that I'm going to get used to it. At the moment, I'm feeling maybe about a 7.5 out of 10 for the album. But overall, I really like it, and maybe in time, the album will become a 9 out of 10 for me, who knows. I know I certainly like Tranquility Base far more than my initial listen. What did you think? Are there some tracks which you liked? Do you agree with my opinions? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments. And on that note, I'll say ta-ra for now, and I'll see you later.